We are live. I think. I'm not sure. People of Twitch, please tell me if you can hear us or you can't hear us or if everything has gone to hell. We are here. Hopefully. It looks like our audio is working, so that's great. We are here. Obviously, Lindsey's back this week. I'm no longer flying solo. That's probably
No.
for the best.
I think it probably is.
Yes. And we are here with the wonderful Joe Lamb, who has helped us with wildlife research on Keystone, North America, and currently works as a wildlife technician. Thanks for coming, Joe.
Yes, no problem at all.
We are super excited to have you. We're going to be playing Keystone today. You guys. So if you guys haven't checked out our Kickstarter, you haven't looked at Keystone yet, there's a whole bunch of great information on our Kickstarter page that you can go to, Keystone North America. But if you're here and you want to find out a little bit more, we're going to be going through the game. But we're going to be starting off with a few questions for Joe, just to kind of get to know Joe a little bit better. Lindsey's prepared some questions as well, and we're going to be jumping into the game, getting everything started as soon as Lindsey jumps in.
It's connecting. It's still connecting on my side.
Lindsey, you gotta hurry it up. So in the meantime,
thinking about it,
Joe, I know that you play board games and you've gotten into board games not that long ago.
Yep.
What first inspired you to start playing?
Well, probably is a lot of people's first board game. I started playing Catan in college with some of my
nice.
Suite mates. So that's kind of my introduction into like the modern board game world. And I had a couple friends in college that liked to play, and then I moved out to Alabama, where I met my friend Scott, who is in love with board games, has a whole bunch of board games. He started introducing me into all these different board games, notably like Zombicide, kind of a fun, like kind of roam around, beat 'em up kind of game, and stuff like Scythe. And also heard about a game called Dead of Winter from my friend David.
Ooh. Interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that was actually my first modern board game that I obtained, was Dead of Winter.
Oh, I feel honored. Thank you.
And it is still one of my favorites to this day. So, playing a lot.
Sweet. What are some of the most notable games that you've played as of late? Have you gotten to play lately? I know that you were working. You're working on getting all your school stuff finalized, right?
Yes, and that's done. So,
yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. I can be free for at least a little bit until I foolishly decide to take on a PhD or something. but I have been able to play a little bit, not as much as I'd like to, but.
Nice.
Mainly the new version of Zombicide that just came out, and Wingspan, actually. I love playing Wingspan. That's a fun game.
Wingspan is so good. We almost played it tonight.
Yeah, Isaac wanted to play Wingspan, and I said, or we could play the game that we're making right now.
What game's that? I don't
know. Joe, if you could go ahead and hit ready on your side. Lindsey, if you could hit ready, and then we will jump in to the game.
All right.
Sweet. And Lindsey, I'll go ahead and let you start off your questions that you prepared all day.
I did. I prepared some hard hitting. It's all I did today. Don't tell Isaac. Right? Let me just pull them up. There we go. So many. All right. So the first question is, you are a wildlife technician, and kind of how did you fall into that? How did you decide that you wanted to be that? What was school like?
Well, originally, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been watching documentaries about marine biology. While everyone had their fantasy kid picture books and everything, I had my marine biology field guides and books and everything. So I wanted to study the giant squid for a very long time. I was that little tiny kid in the college lectures when Clyde Roper, like one of the big North American marine or squid biologist, came into town. I'd be sitting in all these college lectures, and then somewhere along the line, I decided that I don't want to be on a boat all the time. And I grew up going out to North Dakota every summer and spending time on my grandma's ranch. Mm-hmm. And I just really started to love land animals, especially like large predators, which of course are very charismatic. A lot of people love those kinds of animals. And by the end of high school, I just wanted to go into college for wildlife biology. So I went to Humboldt State University and got an undergraduate degree in wildlife conservation.
Wow. Awesome. Was there anything you were scared about, like going into that field, or was there any reservations before you started going down that path?
Honestly, not really. At the time, I didn't really know what I was trying to get into. I like animals. I don't like math. I don't like people all that much. And so I like animals, but unfortunately
no customer service for Joe.
Unfortunately,
don't blame you.
There is so much math involved, and there's so much public relations involved as well. And I was not quite ready for that, but no, it worked out well. Yeah, I can't think of any real any hesitation about going into that field. When I got to school, I was a bit intimidated because of how much all these people already knew. There's some people that are very specialized in certain things. Like you get into an ornithology class for birds, and there are people that know every single bird in the area and are known as the #1 birder in the area. And they're taking a college course with you. And you're like, what the heck is this bull? Where's the curve? I get no curve in this class. But yeah, that's about it.
Did you feel like you had your own little niche coming in? Like, was there any like animal that you felt like, I'm the best at knowing about this animal more than anyone else in class?
Not at all. And to this day, still probably not. I've done a lot of different jobs that have required different skill sets, not like anything in particular. So, if anything, maybe now, maybe eastern salamanders in caves would be a specialty, but moved out to Colorado where there's one native species of salamander, so I'm kind of SOL here.
Well, we got some more viewers in. You guys that are coming in, we are here with Joe Lamb, who's done an excellent job of helping us out with some wildlife research on Keystone, North America, which we're going to be playing today. If you guys haven't checked out our Kickstarter is currently live. We have 14 days left on it. And Lindsey has some more questions lined up, so I'm going to let her get back to it on knowing a little bit more about Joe.
Yeah, I'm very curious because I grew up with like the Barbie marine biologist. And that's all I know about the field. Is what I learned from Barbie Marine Biologist, which I feel like vastly differs over the real thing. Was there, I know you said like you were outside a lot at your grandmother's ranch and stuff like that as a kid. Was there like first of all, what made you not want to be on a boat? That's my first question. Like what turned you off of the boats? Was it 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Because I think a giant squid takes that boat down pretty hard.
So, funny story about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. As a kid, that was like my favorite movie ever. And my parents were so sick of me watching the freaking squid dragging the was it submarine, I think? Yeah, submarine.
Yeah, I mean it was like the submarine of all submarines. I think it had like atrium inside.
The Nautilus.
Or something.
But like I just I wouldn't even watch the whole movie sometimes. I just skip straight to that scene and watch it over and over again because I love squid so much. But I forgot your original question.
Well, that was the first question. Is there something that turned you off of the boats?
Oh, it turned me off
like
of the boats.
Like a point where you're like, you know what? No more boats. I don't want to be on a boat for the rest of my life. Even if the giant squids are out there, no more boats.
Well, I used to go fishing a lot with my grandpa, and we used to go ocean fishing. And for the longest time, I got really seasick on boats. And even though I love going out fishing all the time, I get seasick, and I loved it. But it just wasn't fun throwing up on a boat almost every time I got on.
Yeah.
Eventually, I outgrew that. I don't know how, but
It sounds like resilience.
resilient. I just want to go fishing with my grandpa. Yeah, I don't honestly remember a time where it just flipped. I just I don't know. That's a good question. I don't even know the answer to that.
It's a deep psychological question. So then following that up, was there like one teacher or experience or something that led you down more the path of like conservation instead?
Or the path of conservation.
Or like what you ended up studying a little bit.
Honestly, probably the biggest change for me, and I've always been into conservation of some sort, but as far as the field of wildlife, my biggest change was going into my ornithology class for the first time. I think I took that my sophomore year, and at that time I didn't know anything about birds. I'm like, crap, I gotta take this stupid bird class. I don't know what any of these birds are. They all look the same. They all sound the same. There's all these people in here that know every bird, and it pisses me off. And so I went in with a bad attitude, and my professor, Mark Caldwell from Humboldt State University, was the most delightful professor and just knew how to get his students into what you were looking at, take you out on field trips. Almost every other lab was out in the field looking at birds. And that class showed me that once you learn what you're looking at and learn about what you're looking at, you really start to appreciate what's around you. And after that class, I've had 4 or 5 jobs where all I do is sit in a spot for 10 minutes and listen and look for all the birds within 100 yards. So obviously I like birds now. But that was a big kind of eye-opening experience for me. Just the power of being able to teach somebody to love everything around you. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome. What are some of your favorite birds?
Favorite birds? That's okay. So I will say one of my favorite birds is the osprey.
Okay. Awesome.
I just think they're really cool. I grew up in Southern California, so I had ospreys that and I live near the beach, so I get ospreys taking fish out of the canal behind my house and going up to the light pole behind my house and eating them there. So that was always something kind of cool. Peregrine falcons. You'll notice if you ask me more of my favorite things, a lot of them are predatory. Peregrine falcons are really cool. I got to work with them a little bit out in Southern California, just because they are really fast and really efficient hunters, and it's really fun to watch. Another cool one I think is the loggerhead shrike, known as the butcher bird, and it's the bird that'll take lizards and other things and stab them onto barbed wire fences or
what?
Or like like there's some of those plants have these like really long thorns on them. It just sticks them on there and saves them for later.
Oh my god!
I think it's really cool.
Wow. I don't remember that in Wingspan at all.
It's probably in there.
I think it is in
Probably
Wingspan.
in there, yeah. Wingspan did not shy away from the more vicious birds.
So you all in the chat, feel free to join in and tell us what your favorite birds are, and we'll tell you some horrifying information about them too.
Yeah, this is a great time to ask any question you've ever wanted about an animal, and then to hear the most unexpected answer of all time from Joe.
Or that I just don't know anything about it, because that's a definite possibility too. I should probably bring up the chat.
We have a new I can go ahead and read them off too.
Okay.
We have someone commenting right now. It's like, hi, I worked at a zoo and then worked at the national park as a national park ranger, and now I'm teaching 5th grade science in I'll just go ahead and say Texas, so not everybody knows. I am so excited for this game and can't wait for it to come out. I'm going to be using this game to help my students understand how everything is connected in nature. Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're enjoying Keystone.
That's really cool.
I'm glad you're looking forward to it. I hope that you signed up, if you haven't already, for the teacher free giveaway. on our Kickstarter as well that you're welcome to sign up for. And if you don't want to sign up for, if you're going to be supporting us directly, but you want to get some of your teacher friends to get the game or other people, feel free to let them to sign up as well, because we are giving away one free game we're giving away two winners every other day on our updates.
Yeah,
So feel free.
a winner every day is probably the easiest way.
Yeah, it's probably.
Just only announce winners every 2 days.
That'd
be crazy. So they worked at a zoo, a park ranger, and a 5th grade science class. I bet there's crazy stories from all 3 of those. I bet
I'm sure.
The class is probably the craziest.
I'm sure. Well, speaking of career trajectories, Joe, like, what do you hope, like, now that you're done with your master's and now that you're moving forward, what are some of the jobs that you hope to take here in the future?
I would personally just love to be doing wildlife research of some sort, not in any specific agency per se. I really just want to kind of be out in the field and kind of get hands-on with everything. I would love to do large mammals, any sort of large mammal research. I am in Colorado. It is a great place for that. It's also a very difficult field to get into because a lot of people do like large mammals because it's the ones you see.
Right.
It's the ones that you naturally grow attached to. So some sort of large mammal research would be really cool for me.
What would be your favorite large mammal?
My favorite large mammal?
This is actually my next question. What is your favorite animal?
My favorite animal? That's a hard question.
It's the hardest question of the entire interview, Joe.
What's your favorite animal today?
Favorite animal today? My cats. I love my cats.
There you go.
So I had a job in Camp Pendleton where I was trapping a lot of predatory mammals and birds, actually, because they were predating on the endangered least tern and snowy plover populations on the beaches there. And during that time, I found a great respect for coyotes.
Yeah.
Just because of how ridiculously smart they are and hard to trap they are. They read me like a book. It was my first time ever trapping like a coyote. I've heard it's difficult and I heard they're smart, but dang, they made me look a fool. So I'd say one of my favorites right now would probably be coyotes. If you looked at my username in anything right now, it's Eurocyan, because that's the genus name of the gray fox, which has the coolest scientific name, Eurocyan cinerio argentis. And that's also one of my favorites as well. I like canids a lot.
Nice.
So
we have coyotes that live outside my house, and the first time I heard them, I thought the dead were awakening.
Oh yeah, they're crazy.
I was like, oh my god, something is haunting us and they're gonna come and kill us all. Like, it just is a howl unlike anything I've ever heard before.
So try howling back, see if you get any response.
Oh, that would be, I don't know, like, it's such a freak. If anyone's ever heard a coyote, look it up, because it is a crazy, like, I can't believe that's the noise they make.
All the yipping and
like,
it's weird.
It sounds like two ghosts having a very spooky conversation.
Have you ever done any field work overnight before, Joe?
Overnight, yes, actually.
Ooh, has any scary stories?
Yeah.
No.
No, it was all very boring.
Unfortunately, not. But on the topic of spooky sounds, what I was doing, I didn't get to do too much of it. It was a barred owl survey. So basically, you go out to different points and play a barred owl call, which, if you look it up, barred owl caterwauling is another one where you're just like, that's a bird? That's not a monkey being like lobotomized or something. It's like, it's a wild noise. And I had to play those calls and get those calls back. It was very eerie to have them be far away, then all of a sudden be right next to your truck.
Ooh.
Oh, right, because they don't make
really
a sound
cool.
when they fly, right?
No, they're super quiet, so it's really cool to actually go out and call for them. That's the only overnight work I've done.
Oh, okay.
As far as creepiness goes, in Indiana, I was working for Purdue under the hardwood ecosystem experiment, and our field housing was an abandoned Girl Scout, not abandoned, but I guess like it was sold out because the Girl Scout camp went under, and so they loan it out to Purdue for a field base, and it's just a whole bunch of cabins in the middle of the wood in Indiana near Bloomington. And that was probably the creepiest it got, just because after everyone left, I was the only one there, and there was 8 cabins, and I was in the farthest cabin away. And the reason I didn't move, because there is 2 main housing things, like units with the kitchens and everything, and there's cabins on the outside.
Right.
The reason I didn't move in is because the outside one had the nice big bed that I didn't want to move. But coming back after a long day and walking along a very dark, slippery stone pathway to your cabin and then sleeping out in the middle of the woods alone gets kind of creepy sometimes. If it was a tent, it wouldn't mind, but since it's all like kind of weird old Girl Scout crap, it's kind of creepy.
When, in your experience of field work, how many people are usually on the job with you?
That depends wildly. So I've had crews up to 8 people, 8 to 10 people, and then I've had other jobs where it's just me and a supervisor that just sends me off to do stuff. So
in the woods that way.
Yeah, just go look at birds over there. And a lot of times, especially with like bird surveys, you're not running around with a crew. But when you're doing more vegetation stuff, which is also something I didn't know you had to do a lot of in the wildlife field, you have to usually go out with a decent crew.
Now, is there anything that you usually bring with you, like that, like whenever you're doing field research, that you like love? Like, are there any textbooks or any like apps or things that you usually like refer to in order to know what you're looking at or kind of get that memory, or your training just kind of all pops in?
I wish that was the case.
You just have flashes of
yeah. No. One of my favorite references, I've told you I've done a lot of bird jobs, is iBird Pro. It's an app. You have to pay for it. It's a little expensive, but they have a lot of unique search tools for finding what bird you're looking at. So you can put in different color markings and everything. You can choose the family. You can choose birds around me. So people that have reported birds in your area, you get to see all of those as well. So if you're trying to narrow something down, it's kind of a process of elimination. It's not this, this is out of the range, kind of stuff like that. So that's a really good resource that I like to use. Other than that, I have a library of field guides that I'd love to take around with me all the time, but that'd be way too heavy. So, and it really depends on the job.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the game here. I'm sure Lindsey has more questions that she'll throw at you randomly to throw you off your game. But we're going to go ahead and jump into Keystone. For those of you who have not played before, haven't checked out the game before, I'm going to give like a very quick overview. Very quick. Very, very quick. But kind of give you a quick understanding of how the game works and how it plays. So, this is Keystone. This is a Tabletopia version of Keystone. Now, it hasn't been updated to some of the most recent graphic design, some of the changes that Joe himself has given us based on his feedback. And there's a little bit of updates. You guys can see some of those updates on our Kickstarter. Lindsey just put that into the chat for us as well, as far as like graphic design and stuff like that. But this will give you a good overview of how the game works. If you guys have any questions about the game, if you guys have any questions for Joe, if you have any questions for Lindsey, what she's been doing all week, feel free to throw all those questions at us. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and throw you guys right in. So we're going to go ahead and start off by selecting our secret objective. Now, I'm going to go and reveal these here real quick. We have these secret objectives. You'll notice that each of the animals here, these are the different species that we're going to have access to. We're going to be placing them on our player board. And they all have these season symbols on them in the bottom right corner. And we can go ahead and select a secret objective that we think we're going to be able to create those formations on our board with. So I'm going to go ahead and select one, place it in my hands, and you guys can go ahead and select one as well. We're going to start that off, and then the other one we'll just go ahead and throw somewhere over there. Don't worry about it. And you get to have one with you for the rest of the game. So during the course of the game, you're going to be doing two things in the game. You have the opportunity to select a species from the field that's available here, or you're going to be able to utilize one of your skills in order to take one of the different possibility skill tokens up here as well. So you can either do one or the other on your turn. During the course of the game, you're trying to set up different sequences in order to score the most points possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and set up a little bit of sequence here just to kind of show you guys how you're going to score points, because that is important to know. Let's see if I can find it to you. Lindsey, you want to help me find it to you real quick?
No, I'd rather hang out with chat.
Fine. Go ahead and find one. Here we go.
Rain
Sweet
Dragonar said that horseshoe crab, favorite animal.
Ooh.
That's a great one, isn't it?
I used to
like
love
a
horseshoe
dinosaur.
crabs. I mean, I still love horseshoe crabs. But
Yeah, what happened to you and horseshoe crabs?
we had a falling out.
All right, Isaac, what are you looking for?
Oh, I already got it set up. I already figured this out without.
So you didn't need my help, is what it sounded like.
So I have a little bit of cards set up here on my board, and if you guys can't hear me, if audio's off, just let us know as well. Just want to make sure you guys can. It seems like we're all good. Happy Pride Month, David. Thank you for acknowledging that. And let's go ahead and go through this right here. So what you want to do in order to score points in Keystone is that you're going to want to go ahead and create a setup that is going to gain you points and a sequence. So in order to do that, in order to create a sequence, you're going to have numbers in either ascending or descending order. I'm going to put this up here so you guys can see a descending order example. And you're going to want them also to have at least one matching habitat symbol amongst them all as well. So you'll notice here the saguaro cactus, the cottontail rabbit, the mule deer, and the American bison all have at least one matching habitat symbol across. Now, if there's only 3 there, that still create a sequence. It doesn't matter how many, as long as there's at least 2, that will create a sequence on the row for you. So we have 4 here. That's awesome. And that's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4 points at the end of the game when we score this row. You're going to score each row and each column. So you're going to want to go ahead and set up your board in a strategic way in order to gain the most points possible. So this is going to give me 4 points, but because each of these, the cactus here and the bison, both have a keystone symbol, we're going to get to count that sequence again twice. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first time. This keystone symbol lets me count it again, so another 4 points. And this keystone symbol lets me count it again for another 4 points. So that's going to give me 12 points in total. And then when I'm scoring this one up here, I'm going to go ahead and score, because it's a descending order, the grizzly bear and the American bison, they have at least one matching habitat symbol, which are these symbols on the left-hand side. They have a forest matching symbol. I'm going to get score of 2 points, and then the keystone symbols will let me count them again twice. So 2, 4, 6 points for that column. Unfortunately, this cottontail rabbit and this mangrove tree crab do not get me any points because they do not create a sequence, because even though they have one matching symbol, they are not in ascending or descending order. They both have the same number. So that kind of gives you guys a quick overview as to how points work at the end of the game and why you'd want to set up certain cards on your board in a specific way. Cards also have endangered symbols here, which we'll go over in certain setups. And the cards are all numbered 1 through 5. You can also obtain wild cards throughout the course of the game that will allow you to score points in other ways. So if like I was scoring this row right here, I could go ahead and have this be a 1 and this one be a 2, and then it'd allow me to gain some points for that row. So the other thing that you can do, as I mentioned earlier, is skills. You can go ahead and utilize some of these skills. Now each of these skills have a different ability that goes over in this skill token guide, which will be on the back of the final rulebook for you guys. But whenever you utilize a skill, you're going to go ahead and use an active skill or an exhausted skill. So exhausted skills are on the other side here. And if I choose to use an active skill, I'll do all the stuff that's here in the white. The bottom little area here is just to preview what's on the other side. But this right here lets me place a research token on a fall card. So I could go ahead and place a research token here on my grizzly bear. if I decide to do that one. And then it also forces me to discard 2 cards off the field. So I'd go ahead and remove these 2 cards. Boom, boom. And then this would all flow down. Now, why did I want to place a research token on that grizzly bear? Well, the reason for that is because the grizzly bear, that is now going to be worth 2 points because there's for each research token on it. So that's nice. So when I count this, originally it was worth 6 points. Now it's going to be worth 1, 2, 3 points, and then the Keystone also doubles the research token on it, so it's going to be worth 9 points in total when I score that at the end of the game. So that's what's really nice about them. But let's say you don't have an active skill that you want to choose, and you want to go ahead and choose an exhausted skill. You go ahead and choose, you're going to actually activate all of the exhausted skills when you do that. So I would gain 2 synergy tokens. I'd place a research token here on a wild card if I had one, and I'd be able to rearrange a card on my board. I'm going to explain a little bit those. You guys will see that throughout the course of gameplay. But whenever you take an exhausted skill action, you're going to move over the skill token up 1. And that's pretty much the game. The only thing that we needed to explain that we didn't quite explain yet is that you're going to have these synergy tokens here that are going to be kind of like your currency throughout the game. Whenever you want to select a card on the field, you have to pay for place a synergy token on the card that's to the right of it in order to claim it. So if I wanted this crocodile, I'd have to pay 4 synergy in order to do that. And if someone selected these later on, they'd gain any synergy tokens that were on those cards when they place them on the board. So that's kind of how that works, and you guys will see again that throughout the course of the game as we play. All right. Anything I missed, Lindsey?
You missed a in-depth discussion on whether horseshoe crabs were in fact dinosaurs and or terrifying creatures from another planet.
Both. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this up. Lindsey, if you want to hand out synergy tokens to everybody, I'll go ahead and be the first player. Joe, if you want to take this spot to the right of me.
Okay.
So that way you can go ahead and look forward. It'll be nice and easy for you. And then you'll be the last player in the sequence, so you can see a couple turns.
David in chat was saying that horseshoe crabs have blue blood. Joe, can you confirm or deny?
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yes.
And
they're used for a lot of scientific things as well.
Yes, he definitely said that as well.
Are we running out of them, Joe?
Horseshoe crabs?
Yes.
Or synergy tokens.
Synergy tokens.
Horseshoe crabs. For how much? I know that we use them a lot for medical research and things like that, like you said.
I'm actually not sure of that.
Oh, no.
How was I the only one not knowing that horseshoe crabs were being used to just make science happen all the time?
I watched too many educational TikToks.
What School of Rock show was there? Not school. Was it Schoolhouse Rock? What Schoolhouse Rock episode did I not see as a kid? Everyone else
the one where they're
this.
stabbing horseshoe crabs and taking their blood.
Just
there was a lot of
them
those.
and sucking it up. Create scientists that way.
Are they also? I don't think they are. They're not the ones that can live indefinitely, right? Is it jellyfish that can live indefinitely? Or we don't know how long they live.
Is there any creature that just exists indefinitely?
There is one.
Tardigrades.
They
there
don't
you go.
age?
Not that we know of.
That's crazy.
There's a lot we don't know, Lindsey.
I mean, it's really an animal if it doesn't die.
Now we're getting into an ethics
gods.
conversation, and that's a dangerous place to be with a wildlife biologist.
We can kill it, but it can't age. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start us off here. I'm going to take my first turn. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go for that sweet, sweet black-tailed prairie dog. There we go.
All right, and then I'm taking the one up here. So, what do I want? You know what? That ringed seal. Let's just sitting there. Really nice right now.
It's a very pretty ring seal.
It is a really nice ring seal. Thank you. Just put it right there. And that will be it for me.
right, Joe, it's your turn.
I'm going to flex my last player excess of synergy tokens and grab that red fox.
Oh, wow. You're just
Nice.
going for it.
It's a good red fox.
It is a good red fox.
All right. I'm so glad you guys didn't take the burrowing owl, because that's what I wanted.
That was
Now
the
my
first
list is
one.
complete. I know.
If that was a ruse to make me think you didn't want the burrowing owl, it worked because you passed it up like it was nothing the first time. All right. So I have... Let's see. You know what? I'm going to keep up with that winter theme. Grab that sweet, sweet Canadian lynx. Pop that up there.
Everyone in the chat, do you guys have any crazy animal facts that you want to share with the world? Or the people that showed up here today? Which is more likely. Ooh, David's saying scientists used these cleaver blood cells to develop a test called Limitless? Oh gosh. Alright, now you're making me read some weird words. I can't do this. Everyone in the chat, if you want to hear what David has to say on these sweet, sweet blood, feel free to read it. Or Lindsey, read it, because my dyslexia is
I'm not going to pronounce those words right. Although it does say there is an immortal... David says there's an immortal
Boom.
jellyfish.
I knew it. I love watching these animal facts. They're great. Is it my turn again?
It is your turn.
Oh.
I have a feeling that you guys inviting people onto this Twitch to play this game is just you testing to see if your playtesters actually played the game.
Yeah.
It is. Exactly. Alright, I'm taking the mountain lion.
I know the playtesters playtested this game more than I did because they crush me every time we play against each other. I never win. And that
Then we
is a
have
sign that a
Isaac.
game has been playtested.
And we have Isaac, who literally balanced the game, so he knows
Yeah.
where everything
But Isaac
lies.
also was one of the co-designers, and if you design a game, you never win. It's a curse.
That's true.
That's
This is how it
well
works.
known. 1, 2. Bam! Look at that. I feel really good going with the winter theme. Let's see what other questions. So you did a lot of cave work.
Yes, I did.
Yes, that is good. Just that I had that fact right. Because I remember we talked about it when we were going over the field journal, and then you had a picture of a cave. But then I had like this moment of existentialism where I was like, did he really do caves? He's in a cave. That
Yeah.
seems like a sign that he researched caves. So what kind of started you working on caves or doing research in caves? And then what is the coolest part about being in a cave?
So I originally started as a recreational caver, and that's because Alabama is one of the densest places in the U.S. as far as caves go. It's within what's called the TAG region, or the Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia region. That area has the most caves in the U.S. So I started out joining up with my local grotto, or what all the caving groups are called, like caving clubs, basically.
They're called grottos?
They're called grottos.
Well, they're very
And-
cool. It's
yeah.
a very cool name for a club.
And I got into caving like that, and eventually got on the board of the grotto and started doing all this stuff for it. And then I was, at the same time, I was working for Alabama A&M University as a technician looking at whooping cranes, because of the eastern population of whooping cranes. That area gets around 20 to 30 whooping cranes every year. And my friend Andrew was working on them for his PhD. So while I was caving, working on all this stuff, a graduate position opened up at the school, and they basically asked me what I wanted to do. I'm like, well, I like caves. I like salamanders. There's salamanders in caves. Let's do that. And it just so happened that one of the foremost cave biologists in the southeastern region just moved into Huntsville, which is where I was living. And he kind of mentored me through caves, and I got into a whole bunch of different cave surveys looking for cave shrimp and all that stuff, and I also worked on my master's thesis as well. So
On cave shrimp specifically?
well, not on cave
On
shrimp.
how delicious cave shrimp were, I assume.
They are. I mean, there's so little of them. They're only in a few caves, so it's just that's the best thing about caves. You get to eat all the little animals inside of them. No. Is it my turn?
I don't know whose turn it is. I was actually.
Did you just go, Lindsey?
Well, I was starting to go, and then I was like, I don't actually know if it's my turn.
I think
I
it
could
is your turn.
literally
It is your turn.
just
It
be
is your
going.
turn.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna take.
I did
that.
I did a skill action.
All right, excellent. I'm taking that lynx. I've got a lot of Canadian lynxes going on right now. They are joint hunting this caribou.
The art is almost done for that one.
I'm excited to see the lynx.
See what you guys are doing. You're making me talk, so I don't pay attention to what I'm doing in the game.
Now it's your turn.
It's my turn now.
But the cave stuff is so cool. Like
The cave stuff is really cool.
I'm sure. Have you ever is that entire network that you're talking about? Has that completely been explored, or are there just vast regions that no human has ever been in yet?
There's still a lot of caves that haven't been discovered yet. And they're still publishing all sorts of stuff every year about all these different cave systems. Where do I just put this back?
I do, Lindsey, and we've never talked about this, so I apologize if this takes you by surprise. But there's
Hit me, Isaac. I'm ready.
There is a horror game that I've always wanted to make within an elaborate cave system. That I'm sure one day we can all talk about.
Yes, that'd be
I'm
cool.
always up for a horror game, if you know that. Like, that's my favorite genre. Oh, and a cave system too? That was one of the reasons why I did the Labyrinthos. Like, one of the things I've always been really fascinated is just, like, being stuck in a maze that you can't get out of.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility if you do cave work without many lights.
That would be so, like, because, like,
Yeah.
it gets creepy, right? Because I grew up next to a place called Indian Echo Caverns, and they used to take us there for school, and it was so creepy. And, like, they didn't take the kids to any of, like, the really interior areas.
Yeah.
But even, like, the exterior, bigger entrances and stuff, I just remember being, like, so spooked and freaked out by the whole concept of caves in general.
Yeah. What is really surreal about caves is that you're in there and it's just complete black. You can't see anything. It's complete darkness. You can't see your hand in front of your face. And when you're in complete darkness and you have your eyes open, your brain starts imagining that you're seeing things. So if you're just sitting in the dark and talking to your friends, you can see them because your brain is imagining where they are. And so you're talking to people and then you turn on their light and they're in a completely different place. And that's really weird. Yeah, just because brains are weird and they do things like that.
It's amazing.
I had no idea that was.
And so sometimes, like, also, like, we'll just like be on a hard cave trip and just take a nap, and you'll start hearing things too. You'll hear people talking. You know how they call it a babbling brook?
Mm-hmm.
It's because when you have flowing water and nothing else, your brain will start turning it into sounds, and you almost feel like you hear people talking, and then when it is actually people talking, you get a little freaked out. You're like, oh, this is my cave. What are you doing in here?
Wow.
Oh, that would be so good for a horror game, Isaac. Like, we just need to, like, when we do it, Joe, you're going to come on board as a consultant once again.
Okay, I'd be glad
All
to.
the creepy things that happen in caves.
I would be happy to.
What's the cutest animal you've ever found in a cave?
The cutest animal?
Yes.
Honestly, wood rats.
Wood
rats are really stinking cute if you haven't seen one. They're not like the sewer rats and stuff. They have like mildly fluffy tails and they have these really big round ears, and in caves they love caves because they can kind of den up in them, and what wood rats do is they collect a whole bunch of stuff and create this big nest. So you'll see these big piles of trash like caving gloves and like wrappers from people's snacks during the cave trip, and it's just in a big pile because the wood rats love to bundle it up. And then once you're in there, every once in a while you'll look around and you'll see this big rat looking at you, and he's just curious. He's like, what are you doing in my home? Aww. And they have the cutest little faces. So I really like the wood rats. That's also something you don't really get to see that often. I don't think I've ever seen a wood rat outside of a cave.
Oh wow. I'm very
I don't think I've ever
interested.
seen a
I don't
wood
think
rat.
I've ever seen a wood rat eat in general.
I
so
forgot to take synergy tokens from placing the
yeah.
things.
Go ahead.
Oops.
Go ahead. We distracted you with
I
cuteness.
thought you were
Yes.
gonna say bats. Bats are pretty cute.
Bats are really cute.
Yeah. Bats are
I did get to see a lot of bats in caves. Obviously.
Did one ever hit you? Like when it was
Yes.
flying around? So that
Yes.
happens sometimes?
That-
My dad told me
that-
that is impossible, that they will never do that. But I think he just tried to make me feel better as a kid, because I think they totally do that.
Well, I was in a crawl space, like only big enough for you to crawl on your hands and knees, and I had like a polyester like collared shirt on, and I was crawling through, and the bat's like, "Make way, I'm coming," and it flew and actually got stuck in my collar, and was flopping around in the back of my shirt. I'm like, "Oh crap, I better not make it scratch or bite me or anything," because that is a real issue. Is bats do carry rabies, and not all of them do, but a higher percentage than normal will carry rabies. So that is something to watch out for sometimes.
If you get scratched or anything, you just have to like get the shots.
It depends. I have heard of people getting rabies from being scratched by a bat,
Oof.
which I don't know how plausible that is, but they do like lick and groom themselves on their claws and stuff, so that is a possibility. But yeah, bats are really cute, and they're a lot smaller than I thought they'd be in North America, because the most common bat that we'd find out in the Alabama caves were tricolored bats, and on the wall they're about that big, so they're really tiny little guys.
Oh, those are really tiny.
Did you just go,
They're
John?
probably even.
Yeah, I just went.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What am I even gonna do?
What's the most boring part about what you do? Because all this sounds really exciting and making me second guess my life choices. So what's the most boring part of being a biologist that maybe people don't expect, or it comes with the job and it's part of it, but the part that they don't glamorize on TV or in documentaries?
Well, personally, it's a lot of the vegetation work, because I kind of went into it looking at animals, but for a lot of these studies, you're looking at their environment too, see how their environment changes along with the animal changes. So that personally is not one of the most fun things, and I could honestly do without vegetation work, but that's just part of the job. Another thing that is not as glamorous is that, like, you know how sometimes you want to go outside, but it's pouring, thunderstorm, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, in biology, you have to be out there most of the time. Especially if you're doing, like, if you're trapping animals, in order to do it humanely, you have to be going out there multiple times a day to check the traps to make sure that they're not overheating, or that there's not animals just sitting in your traps slowly dying. And so if you have traps out, you got to go check the traps. And if it's raining out, that's too bad. If it's raining out, slushing out, thunderstorming, kind of out of luck there.
That reminds me of my 1 year in postal work. I don't want to go out there and deliver that mail. I'm sure that was far more intense.
Rain Dragonar says, another interesting fact, the men might love this one. Male seahorses carry their eggs to term, so they get pregnant and then go through labor to give birth.
Fun facts.
Yeah. I can do without.
You can do without swapping those responsibilities.
We should just go back to laying eggs.
The eggs do seem, because you could just like take a break. They do seem really convenient. What is something that is commonly misunderstood about like conservation work in particular, but also biology work?
Like I said before, one of the most misunderstood things is that going into it is that you're not going to be working with people, because the importance of public relations is immense in the wildlife field. And I thought that I personally wouldn't have to deal with people too much, but education is probably the most important thing when it comes to wildlife conservation, because if people don't know what's out there, they're not going to care about it. They're not going to want to protect it. So
Right.
actually being able to portray what you do and facts about things without sounding pretentious, which is very hard sometimes, is a very important skill to have. And I can't say that I'm the best at it all the time, but yeah, that's probably one of the most misunderstood things about going into the field in general. Did I totally forgot to...
Gain
I don't
72.
know. I think I did past. I forget what it was, but oh well. Is it my turn now?
I think you
It's-
gained a research token on the
I gained a
crocodile.
research. I think it was a turn or two ago, but it's fine. It's
Yeah.
good. I've dug myself a hole, and I will be sitting in it.
This is how we get you.
Yeah, it is one of the challenges of like doing the interviews while playing games is trying to like remember whose turn it is while you chat and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that.
No one is. Don't
But
worry.
you're a fantastic guest because you're giving us tons of juicy information.
Yeah. What is something that you're most concerned with for conservation moving forward?
And you can answer it after you take your turn.
Okay,
Oh, is it your turn?
Yeah.
it's my turn at the moment.
Sorry.
Just brutal.
Or am I? Maybe it's my tactic.
Lindsey,
Absolutely brutal.
What's one of the things? What's one of the most interesting things that you learned while doing some of the story work on the game?
Well, I think one of the most, I don't know if it's interesting or just fascinating in an almost horrifying way, is how much salmon destroy themselves trying to swim back to their home to lay their eggs. Like, I know that they, like, would travel upstream, and it was, like, the salmon run, and then they would, you know, go back, and they would lay their eggs, and they would die, but I had no idea they didn't eat. I had no idea that, like, their bodies broke down while they did it. Like, it's crazy. Like, what salmon go through to get back home and what they experience, and just their transformation is just insane. It was the thing that caught me the most off guard, because it's something that, like, everybody knows happens, but it's a totally different experience to see how it actually works.
Hmm.
So that was my
is
favorite, and
crazy.
then-
they are torn up.
Yeah, like, I just didn't know. I just had no idea. Like, I thought, like, they just, like, you know, like, laid their eggs and then, like, had a couple days of relaxation and then, like, passed on. I didn't realize that, like, they fought for their lives every second of the entire experience.
And then you have bears trying to eat them, and you have
Right.
fishermen trying to fish for them, and it's...
Yeah, like, it's just crazy. Like, it's just so much respect for the ones that, like, make it back. Like, it's just such an insane natural event that's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Mhm. And also knowing where they're going. Like, I was born here, and I remember this somehow, and now I'm going back. So,
Yeah, it was just... Did you go?
Yes, I went.
All right. Yeah, it was just crazy. And then the other one is I did not realize how intricate the Great Plains ecosystem was, and how important prairie dogs were to everything. Because I just never, I don't know, was never, like, really impressed with prairie dogs as a kid. Like, I was always disappointed that they weren't
How
meerkats
dare
as a kid.
you?
Like, I
look
loved
at their
meerkats
faces.
so much. And then my parents took me to the zoo, and I saw a prairie dog, and I thought they were meerkats, and I was so devastated that they weren't meerkats. And now I have, like, I just had no idea prairie dogs were so essential to everything that happens in the Black-footed ferret's survival, and just the survival of so many animals that they live around, and how, like, none of them can exist without them. And I know that, like, all ecosystems are complex, but doing the research on the field journal really opened my eyes to, like, I have no idea how complex these ecosystems actually are.
Yes.
All right. Oh, I should get one synergy for my little lemming. Also, I had no idea lemmings were this cute.
they are pretty cute.
I had no idea lemmings were as cute.
That is a
as that
particularly chubby lemming as well.
guy.
He's quite floofy.
I don't want any of these. I think I
Skills,
will.
my friend.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
I
give it
will.
a skill.
I will flip the skills.
You have so much synergy,
I do.
and it kind of scares me
I'm just gonna start throwing
It
them
makes
at
me feel like
people.
I'm not playing this game as well as I could be.
Well, then I look at you guys. I'm like, well, look at all their Keystone species. Crap.
Oh yeah, Isaac is loaded up over here. I
Yeah,
pay more attention.
I know. I haven't been paying attention at all. That's not my MO.
I have three. But my lines are good.
That's right, David. Floofy chonks. We're all about the floofy chonks here, Rose Gauntlet. Although now we have, with the Hellbender that just got unlocked, we now have a Slimy Chonk as well.
Yeah, it's Snot Otter.
Did you
Yeah,
want to
the
buy
Snot Otter.
a wild card now, Joe? Or no? You can buy a wild card before or after your action for free. Oh well, not for free, for 10 energy.
It's a free action.
I think
it
I'll
still
hold off for
costs
now.
10 synergy.
All right, now you have to answer that question, Lindsay.
Yeah, what is that question?
So, what are you most concerned about regarding the future of conservation? Like, what is something on your radar that you think we need to watch out for?
The very unfortunate trend of denying science, and that has been rampant lately in lots of different fields, and it's very discouraging as a scientist. I mean, imagine if someone, you guys are board game designers, imagine if somebody said, board games aren't real. You can't be designing these. That's not a job.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else. It's very discouraging to see that, and also it's very disheartening to see people not... I wouldn't say listening to scientists, because as a scientist, it's very important to always question everything you see. But there's a big difference between questioning it and just completely discrediting it as something that shouldn't be. And it's just kind of that general sense of like ignorance is very scary, because as I said before, if people don't know about things and care about things, they're not going to want to protect them. So that's something that's very concerning, because I feel like a lot of times wildlife conservation gets put on the back burner because yes, it is very inconvenient for a lot of people. Protecting these species, especially the endangered tiny ones that you don't see at all, the little tiny like darterfish maybe that are just a couple centimeters long, and there's only so many of them in the world. It's very hard to tell people, well, these are important. They don't see them on their daily basis. They're not like wolves or something that change an entire ecosystem like Yellowstone. Everything has their part, and it's hard to get people to understand everything like this kind of matters, whether you think it does or not. And just the rampant denial of scientific research is very concerning.
It's not the answer I expected, but it's a really good one. I guess it doesn't occur to me that science denial goes into all fields.
Yes.
Although I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
Is it
The
my
chat
turn?
would like to know if you have played other animal-themed games like Wingspan or Photosynthesis, and what you thought of them.
I've not played Photosynthesis, but Wingspan is one of my favorite games right now. It's a great game to play with people who, like, it's actually a very easy game for people to play, like, just from the start. If they're not really into board games and stuff, it's easy to pull them in because it has really relaxing colors and really good artwork, and it's relatively simple. So it's a very fun game to just play with anybody, and I love the artwork, and I love getting birds that I like in my hand, and I also love seeing other people excited about the birds they get. Like sometimes they draw their favorite bird, and you can see the excitement, and that's really cool. Seeing people interested in wildlife is just neat, no matter what it is, like a board game or what. But yeah, I do really like Wingspan.
That's awesome. I like it too. Although I don't know why, but like, I feel like I can never. I guess this is the whole point that you can't. Like, I just never feel like I could master it. Like, it's such a hard board game, such an easy one to learn, but like such a hard one to feel like you've got a handle on.
I agree.
Let's see. What am I gonna do here with this?
So
record?
that's something that you are concerned about? What is something that you're really hopeful about for conservation in the future?
No, I'll have to get back to you about that. That's a tough question.
Yeah, no worries. I know Ford just switched all their cars to electrical, or they're doing trucks and electrical now.
Yeah.
For like not mass transportation, but like, shipping and stuff.
Yeah, I did see that. Just, I guess one thing is globally, just more places kind of embracing renewable energy. And I know there are a lot of there are problems with that. And it's easy to overlook those when you have something that seems so optimistic. So without trying to say too much, because I haven't done too much research on it, but I do appreciate the fact that they're trying to find alternatives to what we're doing, which is currently ruining the earth. And unfortunately, we're kind of at a point where it seems pretty unrecoverable from a lot of standpoints, but it's uplifting that people do appear to be trying, at least.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's all you can ask for.
What did you think when Isaac approached you to review this game?
Honestly, I was kind of nervous.
What was that like?
Well, like, so I did want to be a playtester, and that was kind of the original, like, origin story of being on this crew. But being actually approached as the, like, consultant is kind of scary, just because I know how critical people can be, and it's very difficult to take concepts from real life and turn them into a board game without upsetting a whole bunch of people. And as somebody who recently loved Wingspan, I did find myself looking through it and like, this bird isn't quite in this habitat. Oh, this bird is it's just like myself just internally criticizing, and sometimes externally, just to be a pompous douche to my friends. But just knowing how critical people can be, I'm like, I'm gonna be working on this really cool experience, I gotta say, but also a little intimidating at the same time.
Yeah, and I thought it was so funny and interesting to me when we sat down and had some of our conversations on like specific species and animal, and like how much even there isn't consensus on things within the scientific community about what even a species is.
Yeah.
And that was just like, oh my gosh. Like there's so much we take for granted, I think, that we learn at a specific time in our lives, and it's like, that's just how things work. And then we find new information and that says, no, that's not how it works. We have new information now. We find that it's, and how much people double down on the fact that it can't change. What I know is what I know, and that's it.
Yes. That's a very difficult part of all this.
Yes.
And if there's one thing I can guarantee you about science, and there's not many things that are guaranteed, it's that scientists are always fighting amongst themselves on what is right and what is wrong, especially taxonomists. I don't even touch taxonomy. I'll let them go over and duke it out in the corner, especially with reptiles and amphibians. That just gets wild. So it's my turn again, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Lindsey, what's going on your board over here?
On my board? Stay away from my board. Nothing's going on over here. Got just a happy little group of animals doing their thing. We've got lemmings and seals hanging out together. We've got seals and caribous hanging out together, which I'm pretty sure is a new experience for both of them.
That seal's gonna eat that lemming.
This is the one of the changes that
Maybe.
we made, or well, that I suggested at least. I don't know if it's going to be workable given the balance of the game, but red mangroves are often considered a keystone species in their environment.
That is totally something that we updated. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just not reflective here. There are things. Tabletopia is slow to update because graphic design is slow to update.
Yeah, it's not Tabletopia. What are you blaming Tabletopia for?
Well, I mean, it's not
You can blame
Tabletopia's
Tabletopia
fault.
all you
It's
want.
like the entire chain of events.
Like, oh,
one
Tabletopia,
change here.
didn't you know?
Now I need to tell the graphic designer to do this. Now I'm explaining all the steps. So, like, graphic designer do this. Artist change this. We need this changed. Like, here we go. And then
Sorry, I'm taking so
all up
long.
to Chris. Oh, it's
Very
fine.
good.
That's fine. We're already more than halfway done. We're flying through.
That's not good as far as my board's looking. But you guys go ahead and be happy about it.
Either.
Look at this. Look at this. Beaver to red fox. That's nice.
Oh,
Beavers are large. I don't know how well a fox would be able to take out a fully grown beaver.
That is true.
That's...
We had one of our artists, Alyssa. I don't think I've shown you this, Lindsey, yet, but Alyssa turned in some of the sketches, and she drew an entire beaver dam, like the interior of a beaver dam, and it's really cool.
What? Really?
That's
Yeah,
cool.
she did a
Oh,
really
that's so
good job
cool.
on it. I'll show you guys after the call. After the
Oh, that
stream.
sounds amazing.
Sorry, y'all. You guys can't see it unless you get the game. It's
One of
for
my
the field
favorite-
journal.
Sketches so far has definitely been the bird in the tube with the exclamation point, which is a great discussion between Joe and I.
Yes.
I had like, oh, you put them in tubes and they're dangerous. He's like, Lindsey, you put all birds in tubes. There's no other way to weigh a bird.
there are other ways, but that's a very well used way.
But that is by far my
it is very
favorite.
sad to see a little bird leg sticking out of a tube.
Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head, Joe? You probably don't. Do you know what the heaviest bird that flies is?
Heaviest bird that flies.
Because I know there's like ostriches are huge. So
Who
obviously they're
got
heavy.
rid of the bear? Who took the bear?
I just took the bear.
Isaac, you took the grizzly bear.
It was
That
a good
all
bear.
I wanted.
It's a good bear. He has an entire family. Look at that mama bear with their 4 babies. It's so
Everybody
cute.
in the chat, take note of what Isaac's doing. This is how you're supposed to play the game. Gather all the Keystone species you can, and just overpower
Oh,
with
Get those
Keystone
sweet
species.
Keystones. I literally had this American bison and the bear like in this corner during the setup.
I need some money
Made it
really bad. I'm just gonna have to do this because I need the money.
Do it.
Yeah, I don't know the heaviest bird that flies. Maybe a turkey?
A turkey can fly?
I mean, they fly up to trees to roost.
Oh yeah.
What?
Have
That's a very limited.
you ever?
flying.
I've been in a tree stand when a bunch of turkeys land.
Yeah,
it is the
they're
most terrifying
Oh
experience.
They are
god.
loud. I'm guessing it's probably a turkey, but I could
did
be
not know
wrong
turkeys
because
fly.
I guess at least in North America.
All right, my
Those are-
turn
those
is
are some big
over,
birds.
and it wasn't a very good one. Isaac, what's the answer? Do you know, or are you
What?
legitimately asking Joe this question?
Rain Dragonair has the answer for us, I think. The males of the Eurasian great bustard,
That is bustard.
and the African Kori bustard are the heaviest birds capable of flight, averaging up to
look that up.
35 pounds and weighing 2 to 3 times as much as their female counterparts.
What does that bird look like?
Ooh.
I know we're not supposed to
sounds
do this
awesome.
while we're streaming, but I'm totally looking up what that bird is.
Keystone Africa expansion, everybody. Let's do it. Let's get this bird in there.
That is a crazy bird. What?
Ooh, I can't wait to check.
It looks like someone took a seagull and a turkey and combined them.
What?
Yeah, that's how I would describe the bustard.
What? That is very strange.
I'm gonna flex again. I'm taking
Ooh.
this boy from the back.
That's a good black bear.
It's worth a 4 with those many habitats on it is not a bad call.
Oh, I think I need... Nope, don't need that, actually. I will take... the scout kite. There.
Ooh.
I do know what the tallest bird in America is, though.
What's the tallest bird in America?
Do you have a guess?
Let's see. We have a lot of ostrich farms.
Native.
I know, I'm just kidding.
My guess is the sandhill crane because they're almost as tall as I am.
I'm going to guess some goose.
What kind of geese are you hanging around, Isaac?
Goose.
Some
Roided
goose.
out geese.
They call mother goose. There we go. I win.
It is the whooping crane. So
The
you're
whooping
close one,
crane.
Lizzie.
Good job.
They're actually a couple inches taller than sandhill cranes, but they can get up to, I think, 5'2", 5'4".
Oh wow.
They're tall. They're no joke. They'll peck your eyes out
Oh my gosh.
if they don't fly away first.
Yeah, cranes seem to like to go for the eyes.
A lot of
Had that-
animals do.
Oh, that was a warning I had when I moved here. They're like, don't mess with the sandhill cranes. They go for the eyes.
They're at a good level for it.
All right. Is it Joe's turn?
Mm-hmm.
I need some. I'm not going to tell you my strategy. Never mind.
This doesn't help me,
Terrible
guys.
idea.
Why don't you help me with these cards? Wait. Yeah. Then I feel like we haven't gotten many 4s.
There's a 4
Am I-
right here,
am I-
and it's a Keystone animal.
I know that. I know there's that one.
And it's purple, the color you appear to be going for. Remember, you can buy a wild card too, and they're any number.
Yes.
And you also have a ton of synergy.
Hmm. False.
And it's a free action. All right. It's
Isaac's turn.
All right.
All right. All right.
So what has been your favorite part of the game to go over
Oh, if no one's gonna take it.
for research? Or not for research, but double checking our research.
I've honestly liked going over the field journal. I thought that was pretty fun. Just because a lot of what you wrote was pretty relatable.
Thank you.
Like doing wildlife stuff. So it was kind of cool to see that. I actually thought you were consulting with somebody at first about like what to put in there. But it's fun because there's a lot of things in the game where I'll recognize something. I'm like, is this right? Is something off about this? Like, I don't know all these facts off the top of my head. I'm not that great. I wish I was. But a lot of these things I'll think like, that seems a little off, or there's something else that could be in there. And I get to go do my own research on it too. So it's not just all off the top of my head. It's me being able to kind of refresh all these things I learned through field experience and through class, which is kind of fun. So
That's cool. One of my secrets for the field journal was looking up YouTube videos of biologists complaining about the job, because that is how you find the truth of anything. You get like a couple biologists having a beer after work, talking about the crap parts. That is how you get to the truth.
yes.
And
That's how you make it feel authentic.
Surprisingly, it's a very popular part of YouTube.
There are some amazing. There was one woman.
No, we're just kidding.
No. But there was one woman, and she was a biologist, and she talked about like all the amazing stuff too. But her videos were just so real, like as far as like she talked a lot about like what it's like to be a woman in the field, which
tough.
is another layer, right?
Yeah.
But you know, she would talk about like how they would rent out hostels to do research out in like remote like Colorado winters or something like that, and she's like, you have no idea how often people play guitar in hostels because they're with like other people just having vacations. And she's like, there is always a guitar playing. It's like 2 a.m. You've worked all day. You're so tired, and there's someone you don't even know playing guitar and not well, and you just want to murder them. But then your boss will be upset with you. And it's like those kind of conversations really helped in getting me a feel for not just like what the job was, but like just some of like the little crazy stuff that they go through that no one ever thinks about.
Yeah, there have been a lot of beers had after work sometimes. The most notable was a bad day where me and my boss um, made a whole bag of Totino's pizza rolls and had a bowl of ranch. We sat down on the couch and watched Mean Girls and ate our Totino's pizza rolls with a beer. So yeah, that was a rough day.
Has anyone
amazing.
ever been like skunked while you guys were out or anything? Like anything like really unfortunate like that happened? Not where it's not dangerous. Like no one got hurt, but like it was very unfortunate. Is it my turn, Isaac?
I think so.
I think it is your
All right,
turn.
yeah.
All right, cool. We'll take my turn while you think.
What's the stinkiest animal you've ever smelled?
I'm asking as someone whose dog got skunked not that long ago, and it was the most horrible experience of my life.
I haven't really had any issues with skunks. I was always terrified of catching a skunk in one of my traps because I hear when you trap a skunk, it's almost inevitable you're going to get sprayed in some form. So I know people that have, and I know people that have trapped skunks, and there's a special trash bag method that you're supposed to use that I am not keen to, but unfortunate.
There's no method I discovered that fixes skunk, by the way.
Yeah.
I tried all of
as
them.
far as a method to properly take the skunk out of the trap without getting completely
Oh, out of the trap.
doused,
I thought you just
yeah.
meant take a skunk out of you. I'm like, no. Once it's on, it's not coming off.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
What's the largest animal you've ever seen in a cave?
Largest animal I've seen in the cave? Luckily, nothing really that big.
Okay.
A dog. There was a dog named Sarge that lived near one of the caves that I used to go to a lot. And this dude would be back like a mile into the cave.
Oh, jeez.
He just knew where to go. And you'll be going through the cave, and then you'll look up and you see these two big eyes looking at you. And you just, oh god. It's freaky. It's freaky. I did not like it. Definitely didn't bring enough changes of pants for that. But yeah, he'd be in there like a mile back in the cave, and it's Sarge. It's just this old German Shepherd that was friendly as all get out, and
Aww.
yeah.
The chat says the stinkiest animals are river mussels, and having to
River
clean
mussels.
them
Ooh.
is apparently worse than being skunked.
That doesn't
Oh, wow.
sound fun.
Are they tasty at least? Is it
I
worth
would
it?
hope so. Yeah, it's just I guess number one, why, and number two, is it worth it?
I've not set up my board very well and had not thought this through.
Neither. I have just given up on trying to fill up my board, and now we're doing collateral damage.
Don't question my methods.
Salvage.
I don't know what you're doing, and I don't like it. I thought you knew where polar bears belonged, and certainly not next to American crocodiles.
It shows what you know. They're gonna fight for who gets to be top dog.
Joe, if you had a one natural wonder that you could visit, where would you want to go? It could be anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be North America.
Any natural wonder. You know, I can only think of like two off the top of my head, so that's a great start. I'd honestly really like to go to the pyramids, just because. Well, I'd more specifically inside of the pyramids, which no one can do. But I really like caves and mines and passages and stuff like that, so I think that would be really cool. Just to go there off the top of my head. I forget what the rest of them are, honestly. So I'm just gonna go with that.
I think there's like the natural wonders of the there's the 7 wonders of the world, and then there's like the 7.
Oh, you said natural wonders.
Yeah, natural wonders of the world.
Oh.
Although
Well, I
it's,
mean,
like either one is
aliens
fine.
aliens built the pyramids, so that's kind of natural. It kind of,
I think the most common answer that we've heard from people are the Northern Lights.
Ooh,
as far as
that
like our
is-
artists and stuff, and when I interviewed them.
I had a friend once. I was at a convention, and they were like, the Northern Lights are gonna go off, go off only like a 10-mile drive. If we go now, like we can go hit them. Or not a 10-mile drive, but like a 10-hour drive. If we go now, we can hit them and come back. And I'm like, what are you talking? No, like that's not gonna happen. I'm not going with
that's
you.
honestly always been something I wanted to see ever since I was a child. I love the movie Balto.
Yeah, I did.
And so that's
Balto.
something I've always been interested in. I just looked them up so I can actually know what I'm talking about a little bit. I have a weird, morbid curiosity about Everest, just because it's such an eerie, looming figure. But one thing I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid is dive the Great Barrier Reef, and unfortunately, there isn't much of it left, which sucks. But I'd say, if anything, probably do that, because I want to do it sooner than later while there's still something there.
Yeah.
And growing up, like, my hero was Steve Irwin. And so that was always something that I saw on TV all the time. It's always something I wanted to do.
That's very cool.
That's cool. That is, the Great Barrier Reef is one of the natural wonders of the world. It's one of the 7. So, totally counts.
I'll take it.
David said, as far as those river mussels, if you like eating poop, they are delightful. And he was collecting them for research at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History to study their shells.
Oh, fun.
So not for the food. Which makes sense, because if it smells that bad. I mean, I know there's some cheeses where, I mean, they're really good and they stink pretty bad. But for the most part, the smell will let you know about what kind of ride you're about to take with that food.
Who just went?
I did.
Okay, my turn.
Oh yeah, but as far as unfortunate experiences go in the field, one was about me, and I tell this story a lot just because it's embarrassing, and it's one of like the harsh realities of doing field work. Is like, you know how I told you, like, when you have a trap out, you have to go check it multiple times a day, thunder, rain, whatever. And I was out camping to do bird surveys the day before, and I had a pizza buffet while I was out there, because that sounds like a great time. And it was just this little tiny shack in the middle of nowhere in Indiana, and I had a pizza buffet. And unbeknownst to me is that it'd give me like violent food poisoning the day after. And yeah, so
you still had to go out,
and I was still out there. And as we parked, it was a group of 5. We were all running lines to check our traps, and we get out on this ridge line on the top of like a big hill in Indiana to go check our trap. We all split off, and as we're walking out there, look out in the distance, and we see this massive thunderstorm in the distance. We're like, well, hope that doesn't hit us. Sure enough, it hits us. I kind of sprint through my traps, and I start feeling the food poisoning hit.
Oh no.
And it's thundering, raining so bad that you can't see more than like 30 feet in front of you. And I'm sitting there waiting for the rest of my crew to come out. And I was the first one done because I had no we were trapping for mice and chipmunks and stuff. And I was sitting there not wanting to relieve myself, because what if my crew shows up? And sure enough, they show up and we are missing somebody. So we end up having to all pile in the truck and go driving down this crazy, bumpy, muddy, slushy road while my stomach is trying to escape from me. And this was like second week of work, and it's a crew full of girls, and I'm just like, guys, we need to find a porta potty. So that is unfortunate and embarrassing, but it's fine because it happens. To me, especially.
So that might be my favorite story you've ever told.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Is one way to look at it, I guess. I'm terrified of us getting to the end of the game and realizing that I have forgotten how to count, and I didn't order something right.
You're fine. I know it's been a little while since you played.
Yeah, you're definitely... it's at least you have a reason. I'm just doing bad for... I'm just doing bad.
gonna sneeze.
Oh. What?
Well, besides coyotes, Joe, what's one of the most difficult things you've trapped?
Well, probably Peregrine Falcon.
Ooh.
So I was working, this was the same job, I was predator control. And luckily with predatory birds, we didn't have to kill them. We just had to relocate them. And I was working, I forget the name of the company, but it was a special company that was specialized in trapping birds of prey. Because that takes a big permit, and you have to go through a whole bunch of training to be able to do that. Because it's a very delicate process. So they're highly trained, and I was working underneath them, which allowed me to help out with that. So normally you can't just go out and trap a lot of things, actually, especially birds, though. In North America, they're very heavily protected by many laws. You get many fines for doing it. So I was out there trying to trap peregrine falcons because they were absolutely hammering the least tern population there. I found one of their roosts, and they kill at least 5 a day.
Oh, wow.
between this two mated pair. And luckily that one of them had a radio backpack or GPS backpack on them, and because it had been caught before, so we can see where it was going and where it was roosting and where it was doing all this stuff. But the problem is it's been trapped before, and it'd been trapped 2 times prior to this, and it knew what we were doing. So the male was easy. We trapped that within a couple days, and the female took almost a month to trap, just because she was so smart and knew all of what we were doing. And that was immensely frustrating.
Month to catch one bird.
One bird. And so I really wanted to, because I think I was running mammal traps when they caught the male. So I was like, dang it, I missed when they trapped the male peregrine. And so I was really wanting to trap this female. And it was my last week of work when we got it, which was really cool. And so I end the job, and I go, God, what was I doing? I forgot what I was doing afterward. But we get the bird, and the hawk trapping guy who I was in personal communication with texted me. He's like, guess who's back 3 weeks later? The bird was transported all the way to the border of California, like Northern California, and found its way all the way back.
Oh, wow.
It had
the
not
exact
been,
same spot?
The exact same spot. It had not been moved to that location before. It just somehow knew how to get back. And that was cool. But really, really upsetting at the same time, because we had to work so long, and it only gave 3 weeks of a break to the
it was
4
a month
turns.
to trap it, and it gave it 3 weeks.
It got
back
in 3 weeks.
faster than it took you to trap
Yes.
it.
That was frustrating, but also really cool, because you're like, how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do they just know how to get back? It's crazy. Birds are crazy. I don't get birds sometimes, but I respect them. So,
This is your turn.
it is my turn.
It is, yes.
Lindsey,
I think.
What's your favorite bird?
My favorite bird right now, it changes a lot, because I've gotten kind of into like bird watching, and so when I find a new bird, I get really excited. But right now, the grosbeak is probably my favorite, because it's really weird. Yeah, it's got like this very like fleshy. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like it's a smaller bird, like a songbird, but got this massive like fleshy colored beak. And it looks like a hammerhead. Like, it's just got a huge head, and they only migrate to where I live for like 2 weeks, and then they move on. So you only have like one shot to see one, and I saw one finally, and
nice.
That is why it's my favorite currently.
Sorry, I'm like brain farting here. There's too many gears grinding.
No worries.
What about you, Isaac? What's your favorite bird?
I love all hummingbirds.
All hummingbirds.
All hummingbirds. I think they're adorable. I love all the different colors. I don't have a very specific one.
Oh, Texas gets some good hummingbirds too.
Yes, we do. So.
Oh, do you? We don't.
Yes.
Sounds cool. We don't really have a ton here. If they do, they don't hang out near me.
I need to put. I kind of wanted to put a feeder out, but I heard they're kind of not great for hummingbirds.
They're very aggressive.
Yeah.
And very territorial.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mixed bag. They are cool to watch and really fun to watch, but yeah, they do get a bit aggressive. Gosh, I'm sorry. What is this one?
That's
not something I can use. I am.
There's a lot of 4s now.
There are, but not ones that I want. I'm gonna put that there and pay
10.
David also said, "Who hasn't pooped their waders while out in the field? That's why they're waterproof."
Put those over there. That's true, but it keeps it all in. Is the problem.
They're made of rubber too, which is very convenient for issues like that.
And I think that was just your side action, so you still get to do what you want to do.
Oh Jesus! I don't know what I want to do, guys. I'm gonna do this. How about
do
that?
some research.
There you go.
I don't know anything about research.
I'm sure it's that easy. You put a clipboard on an animal, tap it, and you're like, you've been researched.
Everyone knows that clipboards are very important in many different fields. So
let's see. No.
So what is your favorite plant?
My
Joe,
favorite
since you've
plant.
talked a lot about your lack of enthusiasm for plant research, what is your favorite plant?
I can tell you what it's not.
Sure, I'd love to hear that too.
Probably greenbrier. Greenbrier is terrible. I greatly dislike greenbrier. I don't know if you have it much in Michigan, but
I've never heard of it.
in the South, it's especially in clear cuts, which is where they clear cut a forest. And all that understory brush starts growing up. And you know in like Disney movies where you see like the 20-foot tall like wall of thorns that exist in front of the villain's castle, that exists in real life, and it's greenbrier, and I hate it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever. I've certainly never seen a castle-sized wall of thorns.
Well, yeah, it's mostly in clear cuts that I've experienced it, and unfortunately, that's where a lot of the work I've done, not a lot of it, but a decent amount of work I've done is in clear cuts and trying to cut 100-meter lines through like 10-foot tall briar patches with clippers. You can't use a machete; they're too flexible for that. And you'd also whack yourself in the face with all sorts of thorns and vines and stuff. You have to use those little like hedge trimmers, and it's not fun.
Oh wow! Are there any plants that grow in caves that are notable and interesting?
No,
I know there's
plants,
no sunlight.
Really. Yeah, every once in a while, the weird thing is you'll get like a little seed that sprouts into like a little, you grow lima beans in like elementary school, and you get that little sprout that comes out. Every once in a while, I'll see that in a cave. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like in the middle of a cave, there's no sunlight at all. Wow. Yeah, I'm not I don't. A lot of what grows in caves is like weird algae and fungi and stuff. So, yeah, that's always interesting to look at. And in certain areas, you get. You ever played The Last of Us?
Yes.
Yes.
You know how everything is infested with cordyceps, which is an actual real life fungus that infects insects and turns them into zombies. Basically, I don't know if you've looked into that exactly, but it'll turn them into zombies and make them go to the highest point to release their spores. And in certain places, we do have different types of not like the crazy ones you see on like National Geographic, but we do have a type of that in some of the caves that infect the cave crickets. So you'll see these big puffs of like fungus on the top of the caves and that's a form of cordyceps, so that's kind of cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You just see zombie crickets going around.
Clicking.
Oh god.
I will say,
imagine that in a cave.
God,
That would be horrible.
no.
Yes.
You know, it's weird. Sometimes salamanders make noise, and it's really weird because you don't expect them to make noise, but they'll make little like grunting, sounds like grunting or squeaking noises if they're upset. And I've only heard it a few times because I try not to handle the salamanders in my research, and typically in research you try not to handle the animals as much as you can at all. But yeah, that's really weird. Sometimes you'll be going through a cave and you'll hear a little noise and you're like, what the heck is that? And you look to the side and there's a salamander and you're like, you didn't make that noise. Did you?
Wow.
That's disconcerting. But I digress.
No, I mean, if lizards started talking to me, I'd be really freaked out too.
All right, I think it's your turn, Joe.
It is my turn? Okay.
Yes. What's the weirdest sounding animal where you live, Isaac?
The weirdest sound. I mean, we get a lot of. What are the cicadas?
Cicadas?
Cicadas. Is that how you say it? I always say it wrong. We get a lot of those during the summer.
Oh, this is a big cicada year in a lot of places too. So it's gonna be loud.
Yeah, probably. No, I don't have too many sounds. I mean, I live in a city, so it's less craziness going on. We have lots of bunnies and squirrels. Squirrels fighting. that's really
Squirrels fighting.
I got a lot of territorial squirrels in my front lawn.
Okay.
Let's see. Isaac, are you going?
Yes, it's my turn.
Alright.
A plant I do like actually are ferns, and not a specific type of fern, but just ferns in general. I think they're really cool, just because they. Oh, I'm sorry. Getting distracted by my cat reaching underneath the door like The Walking Dead. But yeah, ferns are really cool. They have an interesting biology that I can't really go into depth because I'm woefully ignorant about exactly what goes on. But I remember learning about ferns, and ferns are really cool, and they're really pretty too. Going to school in Northern California, everything's covered in ferns, so it's kind of a homey feeling when I see a big grove of ferns. So I do like those.
Yeah, they definitely have like that cool adventure fantasy feel to
They do.
them.
I'm buying a wild card, and it's
Oh, and ending the game.
ends everything. You guys have one more turn.
One more turn to fail.
Yep. Watch what I do with this last turn.
I don't even know how much I had to, I know I had to pay like that much or something like that. There we go. I think I paid wrong. David says birds can sense magnetic fields now.
Yes,
Or they always
they can.
Very cool.
Gonna go all the way to the end and get that
You get yourself
long-tailed
that
weasel.
long-tailed weasel.
I will. I will lose. I will spend literally 2 points to get myself one long-tailed weasel. We'll see if that's worth it.
Could be.
Oh, that is. I think I just accidentally duplicated a card in the trash, and I didn't even know I could do that.
Nice. I think it's Joe's turn now.
It is my turn.
The last turn of the game. What will he get?
Right.
And what an exciting one it shall be.
It's perfect. I have one last question, so that lines up perfectly. Let's see, what are you doing?
We need to do another one of these, though,
Nothing exciting.
Joe, where we just go into sweet, sweet cave talk.
Oh, I can go
Just
on
about caves?
about caves forever.
I just want to just focus on the scariest cave concepts we can come up with.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Flooding is bad reality.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
You guys probably heard about the Taiwanese
Yes,
kids that
yes.
got stuck. Yeah, that's scary. I have friends that have like, yeah, I've been stuck in a cave when it was flooding.
Oh my god.
We're only stuck there for like 12 hours, but it was fine. That's the thing about Alabama. You get a lot of like the goats of caving, just like the greatest of all time. Some of those people exist in Alabama and Tennessee, and their stories are just ridiculous because they used to go into caves with like basically like a flashlight taped to their head kind of thing, and they didn't have the modern like rappelling technology that we do now. Actually, one of the people in my grotto invented the rappel rack.
Oh wow.
And that's like used all around the world now. Really cool. But yeah, they set up logs to like shimmy up the logs to get into like higher places in the caves, and those people are crazy, and I'm surprised they're still alive. So lots of fun stories from that.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. All right, did you do your last turn?
Yeah, I did.
Is
Is it time to see how badly you beat me
It's
by?
time. Yeah, it's time.
We'll see.
God.
We'll see what
how
Isaac
well I
did to us.
I'll go ahead and open the score thing.
I saw Isaac focusing almost the
I
entire
know.
time.
Isaac didn't hold back this time.
See, I wasn't in charge of asking
that.
questions, nor was I in charge of.
That's brutal, man. Jeez.
That's right.
I didn't even. I have 3 empty spaces. Oh, good. You have 3 empty
Yeah, I have 3
spaces
empty
too.
spaces
All
too.
right,
That makes me
cool.
feel a little bit better, but you
Yeah.
have much more. I have like 2 Keystone species.
You guys got a lot of
I
research.
think I have 2. I have 3, so we're pretty even.
Okay.
I think it's gonna come down to who did the best research. Who hit the most animals in the head with clipboards.
Everyone knows the American crocodile is the most fun to hit in the head with a clipboard.
All right, let me put this up on. If I can do this one real quick.
So while he's setting it up, this is the last question,
Yeah.
Joe. What are some of the places or things that you'd like to see future Keystone games focus on? This could be places in the world or different habitats or just bats. I know we had a
Yes.
discussion about why we didn't have a game focused around bats.
I was a little. It was a little disconcerting how there weren't any bats, and yeah, definitely bats. I would like to see more herpetofauna representation, so like reptiles and amphibians. I feel like there's a lot of the big ones, but well, this is coming from a personal place since I did work on salamanders. I feel like there could be more salamanders, but that's
There
just
we
me. I am excited for Africa.
That'll be fun.
That'd be really cool because, especially with grabbing people's attention with the big, crazy, charismatic animals from Africa is really cool. And there's no better way to get people excited about wildlife and doing that kind of stuff than to show them big, cool things that they like. Otherwise, I'd like to just see more animals. Like if you guys plan on doing expansions or stuff, just to see more animals, and it's really fun to just look at the artwork because I really like art.
It is the most. It's the most fun for everyone in the process. Yeah. Even designers like the art the best.
You all heard it here. More animals. If you guys want to see more animals, support this game on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's
Is there
how we
enough
get more animals?
species and caves to do a cave edition? Or like, is there enough cool species? Like, if we combine all the caves in the world, could we come up with enough cool cave creatures to do Keystone Caves?
I mean, I think we can do a bit with it. The hard part is getting like the apex predators, because like you get
the apex cave predators. Well, it sounds like it's Sarge, the German Shepherd, is the apex Keystone predator of the cave system.
Like in North America, you have like, yeah, sure, you get like bears and stuff using caves occasionally. Not too many instances in where I was caving, luckily. But yeah, a lot of times it's just animals using caves temporarily as shelter, or like just mild, like seasonal use for habitat. So I know in a lot of caves I went into, the apex predator was like raccoons. Raccoons just, you always see their little handprints all over the cave, and they're just kind of going through, digging up all the crayfish and probably grabbing bats off the walls and munching on them and stuff. So
I've never visualized a raccoon grabbing a bat off a wall.
Yeah.
And eating it. Thank you for leaving me with that image.
Yeah, raccoons will just eat anything. So, but yeah, we can talk about it. I'd love to see a cave expansion, because there's a lot of things that exist in caves that people don't even think about, and unfortunately, a lot of them are less than a couple millimeters. But a lot of cave-specific animals. Am I supposed to be counting? I'm sorry.
No,
No, you're fine, and it doesn't matter because
I'm counting for
Benita,
you.
Isaac, listen, Benita just
What?
rated us with a party of 35 viewers.
Oh my god!
Welcome, Raiders.
Benita, we were gonna
What is
raid you.
We were just you just beat us to it.
Oh,
my
and
gosh.
then I crashed us by moving the screen a little bit.
Nice. So everyone who's here, we are actually talking to a wildlife technician and playing Keystone. We just finished the game and we are chatting about future cool ideas for Keystone games and expansions. But if you have anything you'd ever wanted to ask a field wildlife technician, we've been hearing some really crazy stories about what was it, frozen Tostitos and cabins.
Oh yeah.
Or the pizza rolls, frozen pizza rolls and
sad
cabins.
days.
If you have any crazy questions about caves, now's the time to ask
Yes.
them.
Yep. If you ever wanted to know about how German Shepherds get lost in caves and then Joe goes and gets them out.
Oh, he wasn't lost. He knew exactly where he was going.
Oh, really? I thought you wanted to go get Sarge.
Oh no.
I thought this dog kept getting lost, and they were like, "Well, you're
loved the cave.
researching. Can you just go get the dog while you're researching there?"
No, because like the first couple times we found him, we're like, hey, because he had a collar on. We brought him back up to his owner, and we're like, hey, your dog was in this cave. He's like, oh yeah, Sarge loved cave.
He just loves being in caves.
Yeah, no, that was, yeah, and I'd see him a lot. He knew exactly where he was going, and yeah, it scared the crap out of me every time. It's never fun to look into the darkness and see two big eyes staring back at you.
Have you ever found like crazy like campsites that you didn't expect to see in a cave? Like, oh my gosh.
Oh
people
yeah.
were
Did you ever
like-
find like an abandoned car in a cave?
Oh god.
Yeah, like or anything like really weird.
Really weird. I did find like a little vial of something. The label had worn off. But it was in this little crawl space, probably about like that big, like maybe just a couple feet tall. And there's a little ledge sticking out, and there was like a vial of something. And then we crawled further, and stuck into the ceiling in that same crawl space was like an injection needle hanging out in the ceiling. I can only imagine what that was used for, and
Well,
I'd
especially
rather-
like you said that just being in a cave can make your brain hallucinate.
yeah, if you sit in the darkness for long enough.
Right. So
Yeah.
like just imagine helping that process along even further.
Yeah. There's this one cave I went into. It's notorious for being like a newbie cave where just like any Joe Blow goes into and explores is like their first cave. Actually, very complex and long and dangerous potentially cave system. And through one of the most difficult parts called the Z bend, where it's like a space about that big, and you're kind of squeezing sideways, and you have to turn sideways, and then you have to lay on your back and roll around and go up. And we got past that part down to what we believe was the bottom of the cave, through the map that we had, and we found this big chalk drawing on the wall. I forget it was chalk, something. So they drew on the wall with something, and it said Chad plus Lance LSD. And I'm like, this would be the wrong place for that. It was like 3 or 4 hours into a cave trip at the very bottom of the cave.
That's commitment.
It is
They
commitment.
really wanted to have that unique experience.
Yeah. One thing interesting I did find was a drone, like on the personal like DJI drones or whatever, at the bottom of like a 150-foot pit.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah, it was me and a couple friends went out there, and I was the only one to drop all the way down because everyone was feeling kind of tired and didn't want to climb all the way back up. And so I went all the way down to the bottom and found this personal drone, and I get back up with it, and my friend is like, hey, I think someone posted on the Grotto Facebook that they lost something in this cave, and they're giving $50 if you find it. And yeah, it was a drone. I got $50 for it.
Nice.
So yeah, that was kind of cool.
Pico Manta says, "Shrooms in a cave, a recipe for disaster."
Yes, I've heard some stories about it's pretty gnarly stories about drunk people in caves that I don't even want to imagine. So
Yeah, does not seem a place that you want to be inebriated.
It's a bad it's a bad place to even have a hangover in, because if you don't want to leave anything in there, and you throw up a lot when you have hangovers. So at least I do. I don't know about you guys.
Have you found any like fossils?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of fossils in caves. You see them all over the walls. You see them inside of rocks. Most commonly in that area, you see a lot of horn coral and crinoids, which are sea lilies. And I think they're related to a species that is actually alive today as well. So that's really cool to see fossils. And there's a couple of caves I've been in where you see actual like cephalopod, like ammonite style fossils as well in the ceilings and in the ground. And that was honestly some of my favorite parts of looking in some of those caves.
Oh wow!
And on the same note as that, probably my favorite thing I have seen were jaguar tracks from at least 10,000 years ago in the mud in a cave.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was deep in a cave where you're like, how could anything get down here? But sure enough, there was a big patch of jaguar tracks. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know people that have found like jaguar skulls and like finger bones of cave sloths, like the giant like Ice Age sloths.
Really?
They found those in caves. No, people that have found human remains in caves. So, yeah, haven't come across that, but
that's probably
for the best.
For the best.
Yeah, I'd rather not have to stay and do all the interviews and interrogation about that.
Rain Dragonar says, could you do expansions on specific areas, like having one that is an ocean expansion with corals, reefs, sharks, deep ocean life, whales, octopuses, or the Amazon forest or Africa in the Arctic Circle? Also, release expansions in all biomes, which I think are all really cool ideas. I know we've talked about the oceans one because that's really fun, and obviously there's a ton of really amazing creatures in the oceans. And then we've discussed Africa. We've talked about doing that one possibly next. And this is all, if you want to see any of this, please support the Kickstarter, because this is all contingent
yes.
on the Kickstarter doing well.
Very much
but Africa, we're very excited about, just because there's so many amazing, just iconic animals in that one. And then I always thought it'd be really cool to do like a nocturnal one. Yes. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
yes.
I'd like that.
I want to see how much glow-in-the-dark ink I can convince Isaac to invest in as far as printing those cards.
You have to play in the dark if you want to play the nocturnal one. You have to be nocturnal.
So cool. I don't know how you would play the game in the dark, but those glow-in-the-dark cards would be awesome. It'd have to be glow-in-the-dark just across the board. The whole thing just glows.
That would be cool.
But yeah, we talked about like a lot of really, really cool ideas. There's really not any lack of cool animals out there that we can talk about and make games about. So I'm really excited. And the cave life expansion, yeah, we can have a expansion where you just find weird stuff in caves.
Yep, just heroin needles for everybody.
Oh, God.
Oh, I don't want to look at the score.
What's,
all right,
what's,
I'm not gonna look at the score.
do you have your next assignment, Joe?
No, I do not. I'm actually in between jobs at the moment. Right. Between writing my thesis and also trying to get ready for a wedding. It's been very hard.
Congratulations.
To
Everybody say
no.
congratulations to Joe. He's getting married in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yes, I am.
And somehow has still managed to get all of the research we need done in time. I have no idea how you've done that.
Procrastination on working on the wedding is my keystone time.
All right.
Oh, you good, Isaac?
I think I got the score.
All right.
Besides secret objectives.
I haven't looked.
Secret objectives. Anybody get secret objectives?
I did.
I did.
Yes.
I think.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I didn't. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Ooh, wait. No. It did not happen.
Oh, you can't repeat them, can you? No, you can't. Oh,
Nope.
I just got it once.
All right.
I thought I had it twice.
What'd you
I think
get?
I'm pretty sure I got this
Oh no, you get it
Ooh.
twice.
right here. I think.
Yes,
It doesn't
you
have to
did.
matter if they're in the same biome, right?
No, yeah, you got it.
Okay, cool. That's why I did
7.
that one weird thing that I did. I just wanted to get that.
And Lindsay?
I got 8 points. I thought I got it twice, but this coyote is just messing up my day.
All right, synergy token points. I got 0.
I got 1.
This is ridiculous. I shouldn't have ended the game. All right, I lost with 68 points.
You lost?
I was in 3rd place. Joe, you got 70 points. You beat me by
Okay.
2 points. And Lindsay, you won with 80 points.
Yes.
The
If I
people that
told
felt the
everything
worst about their
correctly.
performance was
Yeah.
Yep. I hope you guys were able
was
to
it
do
was it the
Oh.
research? Is that what did it?
Yeah, the research was really, really nice, especially in your alligator. You scored 30 on that chain,
Oh jeez.
so that was amazing. Because you had 2 keystones in that chain as well. And Lindsay, you had an 18 score. You had a few double digits.
Yeah.
So that was really, really nice. Really, really nice. Good job, everybody. And thank you all for everybody that tuned in and decided to watch us play Keystone today and ask Joe a whole bunch of amazing questions on caves and fun wildlife experiences. And Joe, thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate you.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the work that you've done on helping us get the game where it needs to be, the work that you're still doing to make that happen. We're still refining. We're still making sure that everything's as good as we possibly can. We want to be as close to life as possible and make sure that Keystone is representing these habitats and these animals well. And if you guys are interested in checking out Keystone, Lindsay, if you want to throw the link in there again.
Yes.
And if you guys want to check out Keystone, feel free to follow the link. Check it out. Keystone North America is on Kickstarter. It will be on Kickstarter, I believe, until June 16th, 17th. One of those days. So you have a couple more weeks to go ahead and sign up and support us. We really appreciate your guys' support. If you guys want to find us, you can go to www.rosegauntlet.com. We are at Rose Gauntlet on Twitter and Instagram and most of our other social media stuff as well. Joe, did you have any social media stuff you wanted to share with us today? No.
I don't,
you can't find Joe
I have
anywhere.
a Facebook.
He's
I don't
ours.
use it.
So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we're gonna go ahead and raid someone. Let's see.
Oh, who do you want to raid?
Let's see. Let's go ahead and raid. Rolling with Rock only has 6, so let's throw them all over there. You know what? Let's do Brand Beard Gaming. Let's go. Start raid. Go,
Ooh,
go,
do
go. And everyone's gonna be leaving in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right now, go.